Alright guys, welcome back. I'm the Crown Clown, and today we are going to be doing What If Deku Was the Son of Zeus, Part 7. So, if you guys are ready for this, if you guys are going to enjoy this video, if you guys enjoyed the series, I would appreciate if you guys liked the video, commented down below, and subscribed if you're new here. So, let's jump into it with a quick recap, and then a quick explanation, and then we'll actually get into things. So, the recap is Bakugo was granted the power of Helios, the Titan of the Sun. Deku was granted the power of Atlas, and Poseidon was granted the power of Ares and Athena. So, Toga is actually up for candidation, but Poseidon wants to really see if Bakugo can handle the power before handing out the power of gods to another mortal. So that's why Toga has not become a goddess yet. And as for the deal with All Might and Bakugo, you guys decided that Bakugo should not become All Might's successor, that he should focus on the power of Helios instead. So this is where you guys come in again. Comment down below, do you want Mirio to get All Might's powers, or would you rather someone else, perhaps a female character, to become the next All Might? Comment down below, who do you want? It can either be Mirio or any other student in class 1A. I'm leaving that decision in your guys' hands. Whoever has the most votes will become All Might's successor. So, here we go into things, and here's the explanation part real quick. The explanation of Helios' powers and abilities. So, a quick breakdown is obviously Helios does have incredible strength, being a Titan. He has pyrokinesis, immunity to all flames, and he can actually use divine flames. So it's stronger than just normal flames. He uses divine flames instead. So yes, Bakugo is granted with divine flames. However, he also has the ability to shoot out rays of light from the sun itself, and he has the ability to induce blindness or cure blindness altogether. So that's another one of the abilities. But just to start off, Bakugo will have pure immunity to all fire and the beginning stages of pyrokinesis that he needs to train with Deku to achieve, but he already has increased physical strength as well. So yes, let's jump right on into it now and pick up where we last left off. So Bach goes in there with All Might, and he tells All Might, look, actually, I'm going to refuse your offer. I appreciate the offer. If you're going to look for a successor, I recommend somebody else. I'd rather, be training on my own power that I have now to become better. I don't want you to hand me your power at all. The powers I've been blessed with are, if trained right and fully mastered, going to be so much stronger than what your power can offer me, and I'd rather just focus on my own strength right now. And I might ask him about Deku, and Bakugo just shakes his head no, Deku does not need that power. He's already far beyond you in terms of strength, speed, and raw strength alone. His powers are too great, and you don't really need to give your power to someone like that at all. So Bakugo just gets up and walks out, and All Might, he's kind of depressed at this point. He doesn't know who to give his powers to, so he decides to look forward to the sports festival to determine if he could find a suitable host who would be, all for, one for all's new successor, or should he just go with Night Eye's suggestion and give it to Mirio? He's in a bit of turmoil at this point. And I want to say, leading up to the sports festival, the weeks of training, Deku, Poseidon, and Bakugo all train together to understand their new powers and abilities. Poseidon's already got a grasp on Ares' powers and is using Athena's wisdom to push Deku in the right direction of controlling the strength of Atlas. And he tells Deku, you know, whenever you fully master that strength, you're going to become, like, more powerful than Zeus ever was physically. Atlas's strength was, you know, still beyond Zeus's, because Atlas carried the entire world on his shoulders, and not to mention, even though his soul was being ripped out of his body, it took 3 of us, you know, the strongest Olympians, Zeus, myself, and Hades, to even bring Atlas down to his knees. Even then, we could not kill him. Not yet. He was weakened. We forced him to walk, but the weight of the world, you know, with his soul gone, it was, you know, wearing him down, and eventually we were able to execute him with the full might of Olympus. So, yeah, once you're able to, you know, master that strength, you will be the strongest Olympian in history. And Deku's just thinking like, damn, that's strong. I thought it was, you know, just a metaphor of him carrying the world on his back. And Poseidon says, no, that is no mere, you know, just exaggeration. He literally carried the entire world on his back. And, you know, Bakugo's like, well, what about Helios? And, you know, Poseidon says, oh, I actually knew Helios very well. He was my son-in-law. He married my daughter, after all, but they both died together. You see, Helios was severely weakened due to the lack of worship. The reason why you guys do not need worship is because, you know, obviously you're mortals. You don't need worship to retain that power, thanks to your mortality and your human side. But as for me, the reason why my powers have not weakened is because I've been in constant contact, and people, you know, they respect me here on the mortal world since I am constantly involved in it. So actually my powers are growing instead of diminishing. However, Nyx's powers never seem to weaken. You must be wary of her, and wary of who she could revive and bring back to full power. After all, Hera is out there now, and we don't know when she will strike or if she will. We don't have any way of knowing. So stay alert and stay on your toes. This battle, I fear we may be in for another war, and we need to find people that are worthy of the powers quickly. I would like to have at least 2 others. Well, Toga's already taken up one of those slots. Deku asks him, like, Poseidon says yes. Once Bakugo proves he can handle the power, we will grant Toga the same powers that she would like to have. So Deku's like, alright, that's fair. And going through the motions of their training, Bakugo does get a good handle on his pyrokinesis. However, it's not fully mastered, but it is good enough to use in a small-scale fight like the sports festival. So Bakugo will be able to use his flames, and there could be an interesting matchup coming with that. So, yeah. Anyways, the day of the sports festival arrives, so it is, everyone's in the locker room, and Baku's not really making a declaration of war in this, considering he's tight with Deku. Like, he's practically family at this point. He's been granted the power of Poseidon's son-in-law, and Poseidon considers him family now, thanks to that. So, yeah, Bakugo and Deku are pretty damn close now. So, Todoroki's the only one that comes up, but he doesn't come up to Deku because he knows how strong he is, and he doesn't want to seem arrogant, but he's going to try and test Deku out anyway. But his real goal is to challenge Bakugo, since Bakugo's being looked after by All Might and, you know, seen it and respected by Deku, of all people, who is a literal demigod at this point. But Todoroki's not really buying that, because in his mind, gods should not be able to bleed or anything like that, but Poseidon was obviously bleeding, so he doesn't buy that, and thanks to his sort of logic and explaining it to others, the rest of the school doesn't consider Deku to be a god or Poseidon a god either. So they're back to disbelieving him. So Deku's just like, it looks like I'm literally gonna have to prove to y'all my strength once and for all. And Todoroki, he walks up to Baku and he's like, look, I'm not about to lose to you, someone who's just a lackey. I don't get why All Might's taken such an interest in you, but hey, I don't care. I'm gonna beat you, and then I'm gonna beat your friend here, Mr. So-called self-imposed demigod. And Deku's just like, okay, you're starting a fight. You better have enough power to back it up. I doubt you do, however. And Todoroki's like, I guess we'll see, won't we? And Bakugo's just like, okay, you're overlooking me here. If you can't even conquer me, there is no way you will ever stand a chance against Deku. And Deku's just smirking at that. And Osui, she walks over and she starts talking to Deku. And Deku's like, oh, hey, Osui. And, Osui's just like, like you were strong in the USJ. And, thank you for helping us get to safety. And, Deku's like, oh, yeah, that's no problem. After all, you earned my respect that day. And Osui's like, what? How? He's like, you helped evacuate the students. You also gave me a valid option on how to non-lethally take out all the villains hiding in the water. So, thank you for not making me a killer that day. Of course, he's not about to tell him he literally ripped off Apollo's head and just evaporated the rest of his body, because Deku doesn't want to freak them all out like that. But, shit happens, and Bakugo is still arguing with Todoroki, but, Deku, he kind of just hugs Osui, and he says, do me a favor, if there's a team up with me and Bakugo. I really don't want to have to go against someone I respect so highly. And Osui, she's kind of just shocked at this, because she knows, Deku does have a girlfriend, and Toga is in the bleachers with Poseidon. So Deku's, of course, having Zeus and Poseidon as role models, not the best choices when it comes to dealing with women at this point, since we all know how Zeus was with women. But, Deku's just like, who cares? Dad had women for centuries. I might as well have more than one myself. Because Deku really doesn't consider Toga his girlfriend. He just considers her more of a friends with benefits type of deal. But Bakugo warns Deku of getting too friendly with other women when he's already so vividly involved with another one. And Deku's like, oh, I'm just being friendly, that's all, I'm just... And Bakugo's like, yeah, I know. You probably didn't mean nothing by it, but still. Your girlfriend's out in the bleachers. Think of how she'd feel if she saw you doing this. And Deku's like, all right. He apologizes to Osui. Osui's like, oh, no need to apologize. Because she got a feel on Deku's abs, chest, and back muscles. And she can feel like Deku's toned like a fucking statue. And she's just red in the face all over. And Minetta, he's bitching just like, what in the hell? How did you... And, he's just complaining as fuck, saying if he would have done that, it would have been, punishment time, write up, all that shit. And also he says, well, he's smooth and, he did save our lives, so he does get some slack cut. And plus he's not a big giant pervert like you. And Minetta's just like, the hell? But Deku, he walks out there, and, Bakugo follows him, and, Bakugo starts telling him, this is the whole reason why Hera was, all up against Zeus like that. It's for shat like that. And, if you're going to make Toga a goddess, that's going to cause some complications with our mission. You could at least hold off on trying to fuck other women until after we deal with Nyx and that, so we don't have to deal with, like, Toga turning over to Nyx's side here. And Deku's just like, you know what? You're right. I should have been thinking. And Baku's just like, dude, how is it I'm your conscience here? Normally you're the one who's all, just good and virtue, all that shit. And Deku's like, when have I ever been virtuous? And Baku's like, good point, but you know what I fucking mean, man. And, he's like, yeah, I get it. I'm normally the one with common sense here. And Baku's like, there we go. And he's like, thinks about it for a second. He's like, oh, I really just walked into that, didn't I? And he's staring at Deku. Deku's just smiling like, yeah, you sure as hell did. They all get down there, and Midnight's down there, and Deku's checking out Midnight. He's just like, damn, look at the body on her. And Bakugo hits him in the ribs. And, Deku's like, oh, sorry, man. And he's just thinking, like, damn, if Toga grows into something like that, shit. So he's already getting ideas on what outfit he would want Toga to be wearing. So Toga, she's somehow getting a vibe of some evil thoughts from Deku, and she's just looking at Poseidon's like, has Deku ever cheated on anybody? And Poseidon's like, huh? No, never. No, he's only been with one woman before you, so yeah. Not a whole lot of experience there, but, Toga's just like, did he ever cheat on her? And Poseidon's like, oh, no, but they were never dating. They were just screwing. And Toga's just like, oh. And he's like, trust me, my nephew will be loyal to you. I can attest to that. And if he's not, I will personally see to punishing him myself. And I will teach him better. Trust me, you have nothing to worry about. Poseidon's thinking along the lines of Bakugo here. And he's just like, shit, Izuku, you better not fucking create another Hera situation. You are your father's son, aren't you? And Midnight's getting done explaining the rules, of the race, and, she says, you can use your quirks as you see fit, and Deku's like, bet. And he looks at Bakugo, he's like, you better run like hell, boy. And Bakugo's just like, trust me, I already know you're going to be flying. I'll be right there with you. So, as soon as Midnight says, go, Deku hits in the air and just flies off as fast as possible. Bakugo's running so fast, it looks like a trail of fire is being left in his wake. And they're just like, how in the hell are they that fast? And everyone's thinking that they have just speed quirks, that they're not, strong at all. And the robots can't even register them. They're that fast. So the robots are attacking everybody else. And they get over there to the edge. Bakugo just jumps it. Like, straight up just jumps it. And Deku, he just flies over it. Then comes to the landmines. Bakugo just not even going to give a fuck. The explosions aren't even going to go off to hit him. There'll be a delayed explosion anyway. He just runs straight through him. And Deku actually beats him there by a solid, just 10 seconds. And, Bakugo's just like, damn. Deku's like, that's the abilities of flight. You took a little bit too long with that jump. And Bakugo's just like, yeah, I figured. So they're there. They're waiting a solid, 30 minutes for everybody else to finish. And, Todoroki, he still comes in third. But, everybody else, they place in the same deal. So then it's time for the Cavalry Battles. And I'm actually making fully unique teams for Class 1A because they're not going to be teaming up with anyone outside of their class for this. Because everyone else pretty much just hates them after the stunt that Deku and Bakugo pulled. And, Deku's reaction to having the 10 million points put on him is he's laughing hysterically. And he basically pulls Hanatsu from Fairy Tail and Grand Magic Games and says, Come on, I'm waiting. So the teams are as follows. Team 1 for Class 1A is Deku, Bakugo, and Osui. They're Team 1. Team 2 is Momo, Uraraka, Mina, and Toru. Team 3 is Todoroki, Kirishima, and Ida. And Team 4 is Shoji, Minetta, and Ojiro. Team 5 is Cerro, Ayama, Jiro, and Kaminari. And Team 6 is Tokuyami, Koda, and Cerro. And Bakugo, he whispers to Deku, like, hey, let's just, protect our own class so that way our class looks good, but don't make it obvious we're protecting them, alright? And, he's like, I got you. Their plan is to have only their classmates participate in the next area. They want to eliminate the support course for sure. They want to get rid of Class 1B for damn sure, thanks to Monoma's big ass mouth, because Monoma, he still talks shit. And he's still popping off shit, and he's just like, he's talking so much shit that Deku he's fed up with it. At this point, Deku wants to just do a full Atlas punch straight to Monoma's face and literally turn him into a fucking piss stain on the sidewalk at this point. And Deku tells him, you ain't got nearly enough power to be popping off the way you are. You need to shut your fucking ass up. And Monoma's just like, oh, is that a threat from the Class 1A? And Deku's just like, keep talking. We'll see how far you get. And Deku tells Osui and Bakugo, that's number 1. That is priority fucking target number 1. And Bakugo's just like, yeah, he is kind of fucking annoying. And the way that they're set up is Osui's the rider, and Bakugo and Deku are the horses. And Uraraka could feel both of their muscles, which are extremely defined, and she's just red in the face at this point. And Bakugo's kind of embarrassed having like Osui literally sitting on top of him. And Deku's just laughing at the whole thing, just like and Deku chose to be in the front just so Toga doesn't get any bad impressions, which was a responsible move on him, because Toga is staring at Deku with the intensity of like death, like just staring dead at him, because she is the extremely clingy and jealous type. And Deku knows that she's already attached and addicted to him, so he's pretty much fucked. So it begins. Deku and Bakugo are just speeding around, and they grab so many fucking headbands, and they're actually knocking people out. Like, they're fast enough to knock people out and have them not really noticed by Midnight at all. And Midnight just thinks it's the impact of them snatching the headbands at that speed. They don't think they're actually doing anything else. And there's no way the motion, trackers can catch them whatsoever. So pretty much they just end up sweeping the round. And that ends, and everybody but Class 1A is eliminated. And now we get on to the matches. And I have made custom matches for this. But however, after the Cavalry Battle, 2 people immediately forfeit from the one-on-one matches when they find out that it is a fighting, type of thing. Koda, he immediately forfeits because he's not a fighter whatsoever, and he has no confidence in his fighting abilities at all. And Ayama, he's just like, no, my tummy hurts. I'm not fighting. So he's forfeiting. So the first match is Deku versus Kaminari. And Kaminari, he's trying his best to hit Deku with lightning, well, not lightning, his electricity quirk. And, Deku's just walking through it. He's walking through it. He's not going to be seen as a little bitch here because his priorities is he doesn't want to hit anybody super hard, but he doesn't want to be looking like a bitch either. So he walks straight up to Kaminari while Kaminari's just trying to electrocute the fuck out of him because that's all he pretty much has. Deku takes the back of his hand, pimp slaps Kaminari clean out of the ring and into the side of the wall, knocking him out. Easy. Deku wins, moves on to the next round. The next fight is Bakugo versus Minetta. And Minetta is terrified. Although, he's pretty much pro'd it on because Kirishima and just says, but think about it. What if you actually get a good hit in on Bakugo? Ladies will love you then. And Minetta's just amped from the thought of the women fondling over him and just all that shit. So Minetta does not pull out because of that one reason alone. And Bakugo's just like, alright, cool, I can do a one-hit KO too. So Minetta tries to slow Bakugo down. Bakugo just releases the fire around him, sort of like a fire shield. And it just incinerates all of Minetta's hair that he just throws at him. The ball shit on his head, whatever the fuck it is. It incinerates it. He eliminates himself at that point. He's just like, yeah, nothing I can do. He throws himself out of the ring. So, the next fight is Momo versus Osui. And this fight is actually pretty interesting, but not a whole lot would actually happen. Because in this state, Momo is not very confident in her own combat abilities whatsoever. She's more of a strategist. But Osui has increased maneuverability. She's, got long range, mid range, and close range combat capabilities as well. So Osui would honestly take the win here, just alone from maneuverability. And Momo would try to make a shield, but Osui would literally just kick it, and she would just keep doing hit and run tactics on Momo, and Momo cannot really counter that. As shown, she's not really much of a fighter, she's a supporter. She's more of a support role, while Osui can be support and combat. So Osui would win. Next up would be Jiro versus Uraraka. I honestly do believe that Uraraka would take the win over Jiro here for the slight reason that Jiro's blast can only travel in a straight line. All Uraraka would really have to do is just make herself float, then drop down to get behind Jiro and throw her. That's literally all it would take for Uraraka to win against Jiro. And Uraraka has shown that she could be very strategic when it comes to fighting, when she did against Bakugo in canon. So the next fight would be Ida versus Tokuyami. And this one is actually a very close fight. Tokuyami has shown to be very powerful with Dark Shadow, but Ida is very fast, especially if he uses Respiro Burst. Ida's speed gets downplayed, considerably. However, he's not slow by any means necessary, especially against someone like Tokuyami. And keep in mind, it's not a dark place. Tokuyami is in direct sunlight. His Dark Shadow is nerfed in direct sunlight, which is the sun's directly overhead, so he's not really getting any favors. So Tokuyami would try to keep his distance and keep Ida at a distance, because Tokuyami at this point has very little to no close range capabilities. However, I believe in a desperate pinch, Ida would use Respiro Burst and burst out of there, kicking Tokuyami in the stomach and sending him flying with a Respiro Burst kick. That is honestly what I believe would happen in that fight. So next would be Mina versus Toru, or aka Invisible Girl. And Mina would win solely based by, I don't know, Toru can't really just strip naked. She is wearing a uniform, so Mina can obviously see where she's at. And so Mina, she has a more, able quirk, and she is able to, use it creatively. So I do feel like she would win overall by either throwing or using acid to push Toru back and out of the ring. Now, that being said, we go to, Sato versus Kirishima. And Sato versus Kirishima, Sugar Rush versus Red Riot. There's a very good matchup, but Kirishima would ultimately win based off of his quirk. Sato's quirk is, mainly offensive with not a whole lot of defense, but he does have quite a bit of muscle mass. In canon, he has the most muscle mass out of everybody in the class. In this, not so much. Bakugo and Deku way above him on that. However, Kirishima's quirk hardening does take a lot of damage. It was able to take multiple blows from Bakugo, and Bakugo is someone who definitely would be able to beat Sato. So, with that being said, Kirishima would win because he's not only defensive oriented, he can also hit really fucking hard with his quirk. So, and their stamina is about equal, honestly. If you look at the final exam and you say that, in that their stamina was pretty much equal and their strength was, around the same lining of equalness. So, yeah, Kirishima would win overall. Anyway, now we go to Shoji versus Ojiro. This is a very close fight and could honestly go either way. You could seriously just really give it to either one of them. And for me, I'm honestly going to give it to Shoji because I do like his character more and he's got more interesting abilities than Ojiro does. All Ojiro has is just a tail. Shoji is like dupla arm, so he can have multiple arms, which means he has more of a chance to catch him and end up beating him that way. Because if Shoji can catch you, encase you in his arms and shit, he can eliminate you by literally just throwing you out of the ring like that. So with that, Shoji would win. Now we get to Todoroki versus Cerro. That I decided to keep in just because I like the fact that Todoroki was so savage. He just froze Cerro over in a mountain of ice. Like, that was a badass flex by Todoroki. Not gonna lie. And Todoroki does that exact same thing again, seeing as how Deku and Bakugo won their fights so quickly. Todoroki was not going to be left behind. So, with that, the first round is concluded. And it's time for them to go into the second rounds. But they decided to give the students a little bit of a break for a minute. So, that happens. There is a break. And, Deku goes and he talks to Poseidon and, gives Toga a hug because Deku's pretty much feeling a bit pent up right now. And he just has to kiss Toga. And, he fucking is just making out with Toga for the whole duration of the break. And Mako, he's seeing that and he's just like, damn. All right. He's talking to Osui a little bit, flirting with her a little bit. And Osui, she can tell Bakugo is flirting with her a little bit. So she decides to just play dumb a little bit and see if Bakugo really does continue to flirt, which he does. So Osui's just like, if you're going to flirt with me so much, why don't we just go out on a date sometime? And Bakugo's just like, all right, so when would you want to go out? And Osui's just like, you decide. You let me know. And, Bakugo's like, all right, I'll let you know after the sports festival's over then. And she's like, okay, just make sure you don't get any worse than third place. Bakugo's just like, trust me, got nothing to worry about with me. I got second place in the bag. And she's like, just second? He's like, I'm going to try for first, but I know I'm not getting anywhere less than second place. But fighting against Deku is going to be a tall order. Dude is extremely strong. Honestly, not sure I could take him, but I'm going to give it my best shot because I promised him a fight. I promised him a fight of epic proportions as much as I can get. And, Asui's like, I'll be rooting for you. And, she hugs Bakugo. And Bakugo's just kind of shocked by that, but he's like, okay, there's something there. I can work with that. And so, Deku, Poseidon literally just rips him away from Toga. And, Toga's kind of pouting from that. And he's like, look, you need to get back down there. Win your fights, kid. Win your fight. Win first place. I'll let you fucking do it all over the whole damn house if you want. Don't make me or your father look bad here. And he pushes him. And, Deku's just like, all right, I got you. He flies right back down. And, they announce that Deku versus Ida will be the first fight. And Ida, he is kind of scared to fight Deku, but Ida knows it's better to fight than to just forfeit. So, yeah. Ida goes down there, but, they're just kind of getting ready, and Ida already knows this is about to be over quick, because he's pretty much going to give it his all. He's charging up his Respiro Burst, and as soon as Midnight says, go, he hits the Respiro Burst, and Deku literally just catches him by the face and throws him right back out of the ring and into the wall of the stands. And it kind of cracks the stand wall a little bit, and Ida's knocked the fuck out. So Deku literally just one hand palmed his face and threw him. So, yeah, he definitely hurt Ida's pride a lot with that. And Deku moves on to the finals. And it's Bakugo versus Kirishima. And I know that was a fight in canon, but this time it goes a bit differently. Bakugo saw how badly, Ida got beat by Deku, and Bakugo wants to copy that with Kirishima. And Kirishima, he knows Bakugo's, strong, but he doesn't think that Bakugo's that much stronger than Todoroki or any of them. So he's pretty confident in himself. And Bakugo sees that confidence. He's like, damn, you must be pretty fucking confident if you're not even scared to fight me. And Kirishima's just like, look, you're not that much stronger than anybody else here, so I don't know why you act all big, bad, and tough. I mean, sure, that's super manly and I can respect it, but don't go belittling me down just because you don't think I'm that strong. I'm about to make you eat those words. So Bakugo's just like, bring it on. And he immediately just starts flaring up with the flames, and, Kirishima's not scared because he's like, alright, so what? My hardening quirk will protect me. He rushes straight for Bakugo, and Bakugo charges right at him. And he's holding his hand out with a palm, fingers spread, flames burning off of the back of it, which is causing him to sweat immensely from the heat. And when he hits Kirishima right there on the chest, he lets out the biggest explosion he's ever done in his life. And he just shoots fucking Kirishima right out of that ring and sends him halfway into the bleachers' concrete support pillar. It's down there. So Kirishima is beyond stuck and out of the ring. But he was still on his hardening. But still, everyone is shocked at how big that explosion was from Bakugo. And they all thought he just had a fire quirk. But he has explosions too? Talk about unfair. So everyone's thinking, oh, he has 2 quirks. That is incredibly rare. Who could have thought about that? And his parents are watching at home, and they're just like, the fuck? How the fuck can he use fire? We don't have a fire quirk. And Bakugo's just grinning, and he looks straight at Deku, and he puts his fist straight at Deku, kind of in a fist bump position. But Deku knows it's a challenge. And Deku does the same to Bakugo as if accepting his challenge. And since there was an uneven number of girls, and guys, and like the whole number was off, they decided to do a 3-way fight between Mina, Osui, and Uraraka. Because they didn't feel like making anyone fight an extra fight, and it would have been pointless to really just try to just tag them in somewhere with the other guys, because all the girls are roughly around the same strength level. So they thought an all-girls battle royale would make for a better match and more interesting content anyway. So they put triple threat matchup with Mina, Osui, Uraraka, and the fight is actually intense. Mina is shooting her acid everywhere. Osui's dodging, and Uraraka's kind of just floating above them, trying to, but, Osui just wraps her tongue around Uraraka's leg and kind of throws her at Mina, which does get Mina off of, her game, and allows Osui to just kind of jump over there and kick Mina in the face. So Osui's being very strategic about this, and is trying to win since, Deku did say that he respects her, and Bakugo is showing interest in her. She really just wants to show off right now. So she's actually doing a lot better than what she normally would have, and she's actually playing smarter. She knows she's not strong enough to really kind of focus and overpower them, because she's not a powerhouse. She doesn't have a power-based quirk. But needless to say, she does have superior movement and agility here. And she can be just as creative as Mina when it comes to using her quirk. Because the other two aren't as experienced with their quirks, movement-wise as Osui is. So with that, Osui is able to take the win overall by using tactics and her movement to her advantage, just taking them out. She kicks Mina in the face, and that kind of pushes her a little bit towards an Uraraka hitting her from the air. Really just knocks Mina out of the ring. And then it's basically just Uraraka being thrown around by Osui's tail, since there's not a whole lot of rubble on the ground from the previous fights. So, yeah. Next is Todoroki versus Shoji. Shoji is not even going to stand a chance. I'm not even going to front with you. Todoroki does the same thing to Shoji that he did to Cerro. Freezes him in another block of ice. And since there is an odd number again, Osui realizes who she's fighting against. So she decides to forfeit. She says, yeah, I'm bowing out of this fight. So there is an, little bit of a rest period for Deku, Todoroki, and Bakugo. And all of them are in different places. Like, Deku's actually not fucking around this time. He's not scared or anything. He just wants to be focused as possible for his fight with Bakugo. He's not even thinking about Todoroki at all in any way, shape, or form. Sorry, had to get a drink there. But anyways, so Todoroki is really thinking about Bakugo and Deku the most. And Bakugo's just thinking about Deku. Neither Bakugo nor Deku are thinking about Todoroki in the slightest bit at all. They don't consider him to be a threat whatsoever. And they decide that they'll just gang up on him and just push him out of the ring. So Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki, they enter the ring, and Bakugo and Deku are staring down Todoroki, and Todoroki just, he can feel it. Those two want to fight each other the most unrestricted. He's in their way. They're about to eliminate him. So Todoroki, he tries to shoot up his eyes. Bakugo's not having that. He just burns through it with this fire, and Deku just shoots his lightning. However, Todoroki shoots up another ice wall, and he knows he's going to have to use his full power if he wants to stand any type of a chance. So he decides to shoot his flames straight at Bakugo, like unrestricted, just fire. And Bakugo just stands there and walks forward, and the flames engulf him, and everyone's just like, oh my gosh, he literally just burnt him alive. Bakugo walks fine, just straight through it. He's like, man, your flames are actually kind of cold, just like your personality. Jeez, I wouldn't even call you a half and half bastard anymore. You're just a icy bastard. And, Todoroki's just like, how in the hell are you not affected? You just walk straight through fire. And Bakugo tells him, fire has no effect on me whatsoever. And Deku's already right there at, Todoroki, just like, and you just tried to intentionally burn somebody. Deku's got his lightning charged up in his palm, and he just shoots it out straight at Todoroki, electrocuting him and sending him flying out of the ring. And he goes over the, concrete part of the stands. He goes flying into the stands. Endeavor literally just jumps over there to catch his son so he doesn't get seriously injured, because Endeavor has to look like a doting father out in public. It's his public image, I mean. Come on, really? So Endeavor catches his son, and he's just like, what in the hell is up with those two? It's like they're complete and total monsters. He is staring at Deku with an intense hate. And, he's just like solely hating Deku and Bakugo now. Like, he's just focused on them, and he's just like, what in the hell makes them so strong? So now it's Deku versus Bakugo. And this fight is actually not going to be as one-sided as people would think anymore. Because, keep in mind, Bakugo has impressive physical strength now. Almost comparable to Deku without using Atlas's strength at all. He could put up a very good stalemate with Deku. Like, just base Zeus Deku, he could put up a good fight now, because he has the strength of a Titan also. And Poseidon says, oh, this is going to be a good fight. So, those two, they know each other's fighting styles in and out from their time at tag sparring against Poseidon. So they're fighting each other, and they're actually pretty much blow for blow even. Deku has the strength advantage, but Bakugo has the advantage in maneuverability. Bakugo's always had the advantage in maneuverability because of his explosions to propel himself, and now he has flames to do that as well. So it's doubling his maneuverability speed. And the more he outputs the fire, the hotter he gets, the more sweat he makes, which means the more powerful the explosions are. So Deku's having to actually eat those, and he's actually feeling them now because of the godly power that Bakugo has. And Deku is putting in some of Atlas's strength this time. He gut punches Bakugo, and Bakugo feels it, and he goes back a few steps, and he's just like, I can't take another one of those. Now, he's heavily panting, because Bakugo's strategy is a double-edged sword. Sure, it makes his attacks more powerful, but his defense and, to attacks is severely lessened because he's overheating himself, which means he can't take too many hits. His body's already overheating because it's not used to the god's power yet. He still hasn't gotten fully used to it, while Deku is used to his godly power. He can go on for longer periods of time without feeling any side effects whatsoever. So in a battle of endurance, Deku would win, and Bakugo knows that. So Bakugo decides to do one final gamble. He burst into flames as hot as he can go, as much flames as he could summon. And everyone's shocked at how much fire this guy's actually got. And he's increasing the temperature of his flames dramatically. And Deku responds in spade. He brings the lightning. He summons a thunderstorm, and the lightning strikes the ground several times. His eyes are sparking, the lightning aura all the way around him. And he's like, this it? Bakugo says, this is it. And they charge straight at each other. And Poseidon's like, stop! And they don't hear him in time. They connect. Fist against fist. Deku puts in Atlas's strength into it. As much of Atlas's strength as he can. Without having to use lethal amounts of it, keep in mind. And the fire erupts with the lightning, sending it into the sky. Into the storm as well. So the storm is now a fiery thunderstorm raging above them, hitting the concrete, sending craters into the ground. The pros are fucking freaking out. Everyone is scared as hell, running from inside of there. Poseidon is bringing, using the water in the lines. He's soaking the place. He shoots the water down and engulfs the arena in water. And, Bakugo, he's already out cold. And Deku, he's still inside the ring. So at the time everything settles down, they look down there, and Deku's the last one standing, declaring Deku the winner, and seeing the catastrophic damage done everywhere. Literally, the only place of level ground is where Deku is standing, and Bakugo is out cold, clothes nearly burnt clean off of him against the fucking concrete that's barely even there anymore. So, yeah, the whole place is just nearly destroyed. If it wasn't for Poseidon's, power protecting the large majority of the people, there would have been a lot of casualties from that. And Poseidon is sure to scold Deku and Bakugo for that, but he can't blame them. And he thinks to himself, now that was a battle of gods. And that's actually where I'm going to leave it off for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, I would greatly appreciate if you guys leave a like, comment down below, subscribe if you guys are new. I'm the Crown Clown, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.